Elon Musk sent something to your deal with, open this earlier than it arrives. Stop scrolling, do not let this moment slip away as even though it had been like each other message you have got seen these days. Something is looking ahead to you, and the purpose you observe these words isn't always in coincidence. Pause right here for a second, due to the fact what you are about to listen was intended to discover you at precisely this time. There are thousands of voices competing to your interest, but most effective one truth can quiet the typhoon inside your coronary heart. Concentrate cautiously, for this is a fictional spiritual story informed for proposal, yet its message is supposed to stir reflection deep inside you. You've been thinking why positive activities have felt strangely connected. Why everyday days suddenly appear filled with uncommon signs and symptoms. Why your spirit has felt stressed even as your thoughts tried to persuade you that the entirety became regular. You called it twist of fate. Others known as it imagination. But deep internal, something saved whispering that there was more happening below the surface than your eyes ought to see. Do now not forget about that whisper. For plenty nights, your soul has carried questions that your lips never dared to talk aloud. Questions about purpose. Questions on timing. Questions about whether everybody honestly notices the battles you combat in silence. I've seen every hidden tear. I've watched each lonely moment while you smiled earlier than others, however quietly carried burdens too heavy for anyone else to understand. Now pay attention carefully. You have heard a strange identify. Elon Musk dispatched something on your cope with. Open this before it arrives. Do now not rush to recognize it only together with your human mind. This story is not simply approximately a package. It is approximately expectation. It's far approximately instruction. It's far approximately the mysterious way humans turn out to be obsessed with what's arriving physically even as forgetting to prepare spiritually. Imagine a person listening to that one of the world's most recognizable innovators has sent them something surprising. Instantly their heartbeat adjustments. Their imagination races. They begin checking their smartphone. Searching out the window. Listening for every vehicle that passes the house. Expectation adjustments behavior. That is the hidden lesson. Lengthy earlier than any blessing reaches your door, your heart begins preparing an area for it. However, many prepare their mailbox at the same time as neglecting their spirit. That is wherein modern tale starts. There has been a season while you believed that superb things passed off best to excellent humans. You think others get hold of possibilities while you remained unseen. You think doorways open for strangers even as your personal remained firmly close. You wondered if heaven had forgotten your address. But I let you know this. No deal with is ever forgotten. No prayer disappears into emptiness. No act of quiet religion goes left out. Every chapter has been recorded. Every put-off has carried a motive which you could not but recognize. Even now there are moments from your beyond that seemed like disappointments, yet in the event that they had occurred in another way, they might have led you far away from the character you are becoming nowadays. You continue to can't see the complete course. You only see trendy uncertainty. But I see tomorrow's victory standing patiently, watching for contemporary obedience. Something notable happens while expectation meets education. Fear starts dropping its authority. Doubt starts growing weaker. Hope quietly returns. That is why this message reached you. No longer because a person well-known placed something in a field. However, due to the fact your coronary heart has reached a crossroads where you have to determine whether you may preserve expecting sadness or start expecting transformation. There are voices around you announcing not anything will ever exchange. There are memories seeking to convince you that each new possibility will quit exactly like the final one. There are old wounds pretending to predict your destiny. Do not consider them. The future is in no way written by means of the day before today's ache by myself. You've survived an excessive amount of to let hopelessness emerge as your identification. There's a motive positive desires refuse to go away your heart. There may be a motive sure thoughts preserve returning when you try to ignore them. There is a motive your spirit turns into restless every time you settle for much less than what you already know you had been created to turn out to be. That restlessness isn't your enemy. It's miles an invite. But invites require a response. Believe receiving note that something precious is on its way. Would you go away you're the front door blocked? Could you permit litter to save you its arrival? Would you pretend it become in no way coming? No. You'll put together. Now ask yourself some other question. Has your heart become cluttered? Have sadness, bitterness, contrast, resentment, or fear crammed rooms that had been meant to be occupied with the aid of peace, understanding, braveness, and gratitude? Every now and then the best transport cannot enter due to the fact the interior has emerged as too crowded. That is why education matters more than prediction. Human beings spend their lives seeking to understand exactly when the entirety will take place. Few spend time becoming the individual equipped to acquire it. Read that reality inside your spirit. Timing topics. However, education topics even greater. There are advantages that arrive handiest after individual turns into sturdy sufficient to hold them. There are possibilities not on time no longer as punishment however as protection. There are relationships postponed because healing has no longer yet finished its paw. Paintings. There are desires waiting patiently for understanding to capture up with ambition. You questioned why everything felt slower than anticipated. Perhaps the postponed become by no means approximately the vacation spot. Perhaps it become approximately remodeling the vacationer. Each hard verbal exchange reinforced your staying power. Each unhappiness delicate your compassion. Every unanswered query deepened your religion. Each closed door redirected your footsteps far away from unseen chance. You referred to as them setbacks. Heaven referred to as them guidance. Now some other thriller unfolds. Why use the picture of someone acknowledged for building not possible things? Because your creativeness has been trapped interior obstacles. You have got started out believing that simplest what already exists can come to be reality. Yet history keeps proving that not possible ideas often grow to be normal day after today. The deeper lesson is this. Innovation starts with vision. Transformation starts off evolved with belief. Miracles begin wherein truth ends. Your spirit has been looking forward to permission to dream once more. These days you get hold of that invitation. Not due to the fact fulfillment is guaranteed. But due to the fact worry not deserves manipulate over your destiny. There are hidden rooms inside your heart that you locked years ago. Rooms filled with deserted hopes. Forgotten prayers. Desires you stopped citing due to the fact too many human beings laughed. Guarantees you quietly buried after repeated unhappiness. Yet the one's rooms have never been abandoned via heaven. Dust may cowl them. Silence can also surround them. But motive nevertheless breathes inside them. You watched the story is ready an unexpected bundle. It's far really about an unopened coronary heart. And what remains unopened can in no way grow to be beneficial. There comes a moment while each soul must decide whether or not to defend itself from sadness or open itself to opportunity. Protection feels secure. Possibility feels uncertain. But not anything incredible enters a permanently closed coronary heart. Pay attention cautiously. No longer every message merits your interest. Now not each possibility deserves your strength. Now not every voice deserves your consider. Discernment is the guardian of destiny. This is why before something arrives externally, know how need to awaken internally. Many people spend their lives chasing items even as ignoring guidance. But steering is frequently the more treasure. For one gift changes a season. Understanding modifications generations. There are people who will misunderstand your transformation. Some became at ease with the older version of you. They favored the unsure model, the worried model, the apologetic model, the only who continuously doubted every selection. Whilst you start changing, no longer absolutely everyone celebrates. Some question you. Some criticize you. A few quietly distance themselves. Do no longer worry that. Increase constantly famous who became devoted to your comfort and who surely cared approximately your calling. You are getting into a season in which readability subjects extra than approval. The applause of crowds can't update peace inside your soul. Neither can reputation substitute cause. Many chase popularity. Few pursue that means. Pick out that means. Because reputation fades. Reason stays. You can marvel why this fictional message speaks so in my opinion. Due to the fact tales have continually carried truths deeper than records alone. Every now and then the imagination opens doors that arguments in no way ought to. On occasion a fictional journey awakens a totally real selection. Perhaps that selection starts these days. Possibly you forestall believing every poor concept that enters your thoughts. Possibly you forgive a person who in no way apologized. Perhaps you forgive yourself. Possibly you begin once more. Do not underestimate new beginnings. The smallest choice can redirect an entire lifetime. A single moment of braveness often modifications what years of fear ought to in no way accomplish. Yet there's nevertheless something you haven't understood. The bundle in this story represents extra than possibility. It represents responsibility. Every blessing includes duty. Each replied prayer creates new selections. Each open door demands expertise. Might you continue to choice the blessing if it required becoming a person more potent? Might you continue to pray for influence if it required more humility? Could you continue to are looking for abundance if it required greater generosity? These questions screen the condition of the heart. And the heart continually determines how the tale keeps. Right now, unseen chapters are transferring toward you. Not by coincidence. No longer randomly. Quietly. Progressively. Like dawn drawing near whilst the arena still sleeps. You cannot stop dawn via refusing to appearance east. Likewise, reason continues shifting even if fear closes its eyes. Nevertheless, there may be one very last mystery you haven't but observed. Someone else already knows that something is coming. Not everybody watching your adventure is cheering in your success. Not anyone smiling for your direction knows your future. A few recognize change before you recognize it yourself. Some experience your increase earlier than you consider it. Some turn out to be uncomfortable due to the fact your courage reminds them of desires they abandoned long ago. Do now not let some other man or woman's worry become your destiny. Stand company. Walk accurately. Continue to be humble. And prepare your heart. Due to the fact earlier than the transport reaches the door on this story, any other message arrives first. A message hidden so deeply that almost every person overlooks it. A message able to changing the whole lot you idea you understood. And while that hidden message is sooner or later opened, nothing will ever appearance the same again. But that revelation belongs to the next a part of this adventure. The silence that observed become now not empty. It became packed with questions. Questions your coronary heart have been carrying lengthy before this story commenced. You idea you had been looking ahead to a solution, however the truth is that the solution has been patiently ready so that you can grow to be prepared enough to obtain it. There is a distinction between listening to phrases and knowledge them. There's a difference between seeing an opportunity and spotting its motive. Most people spend their lives trying to find signs and symptoms whilst overlooking the quiet transformation already taking location interior them. Something is already moving. No longer with loud announcements. Not with dramatic shows, but with the constant certainty of dawn breaking after the longest night. The peculiar message approximately in sudden transport keeps as it was never meant to make you cognizance on a well-known name. It turned into meant to rouse something lots deeper. Human beings emerge as fascinated each time they consider someone critical has noticed them. Their posture adjustments. Their expectancies rise. Their interest sharpens. But how frequently do they overlook that their best cost has never relied on popularity from some other individual? This is the hidden thriller. The coronary heart regularly waits for validation from the sector, even as quietly ignoring the reason already positioned inside it. You have spent an excessive amount of time measuring your really worth in opposition to the achievements of others. Every evaluation quietly stole a little more of your confidence. Every sadness whispered that possibly a while would by no means come. Every postpone tried to persuade you that your cope with had in some way been forgotten. However, not anything approximately your adventure has been forgotten. Each lesson has been building in the direction of this very second. There have been seasons while doors remained closed because you were nonetheless becoming the person able to on foot through them with know-how in preference to delight. There had been relationships that disappeared because they belonged to a chapter you had been by no means intended to live in forever. There were goals that seemed to fall apart because they needed stronger foundations earlier than they may stand. Looking lower back now, are you able to see it? What felt like rejection frequently have become safety. What regarded to be misplaced quietly have become redirection. What appeared unfair became education for something your present self could not yet consider. Still, another layer remains hidden. Consider status at your window each morning, looking ahead to a package deal. Each passing vehicle captures your attention. Every surprising sound reasons your heart to race. Days skip. Nothing arrives. Weeks skip. Doubt starts speak me louder than hope. Subsequently, many people stop searching altogether. Persuade themselves that nothing is coming due to the fact ready has come to be exhausting. That is precisely what number of goals disappear. Now not due to the fact they were impossible. However, because expectations slowly surrendered to discouragement. In no way permit transient silence to convince you that permanent abandonment has taken location. Silence frequently will become the workshop in which man or woman is reinforced. Staying power isn't always wasted time. It's far hidden growth. Roots grow in darkness lengthy before branches attain toward the sky. The strongest bushes spend years turning into invisible before all people admires their peak. Your spirit has been growing roots. That manner is not often celebrated. Few people applaud unseen faithfulness. Few people note quiet patience. Yet heaven by no means overlooks either one. There are moments whilst your greatest victory is really refusing to end. You almost walked away from your purpose more than once. You almost convinced yourself that ordinary survival changed into enough. You almost general a smaller life because unhappiness felt safer than hope. However, something inner refused to vanish. That quiet flame stored burning. A few days it became barely visible. A few nights you questioned whether or not it had long passed out absolutely. Yet every morning it returned, reminding you that reason cannot be completely extinguished through transient ache. Now every other question appears. Why did this fictional story speak of starting something before it arrives? Because education always begins earlier than manifestation. The musician practices earlier than stepping onto the level. The builder prepares the foundation earlier than raising the walls. The visitor packs before starting the journey. The harvest starts with unseen seeds. The whole lot meaningful starts long before every person else notices. So ask yourself surely. If the whole thing you have been praying for all of a sudden arrived the following day, could your coronary heart simply be geared up to carry it? Would your man or woman protect it? Might your expertise preserve it? Might your gratitude maintain it? Many preference blessings. Far fewer prepare for the obligation those blessings bring. That is why transformation starts within. External achievement without internal maturity ultimately will become some other burden. Inner electricity creates lasting peace. There may be another thriller unfolding even now. Some people entered your lifestyle's handiest to train you what authentic loyalty looks like via displaying you its contrary. Others revealed hidden courage you never knew existed. Even betrayal carried classes. Even heartbreak formed knowledge. Even loneliness taught you to recognize the cost of proper connection. Not anything has been completely wasted. Ache became coaching. Failure became schooling. Waiting became persistence. Every chapter brought something necessary to the character you are becoming. But there is still one unopened letter interior this story. Now not made of paper. Not introduced by means of a courier. Written rather throughout the experiences of your personal lifestyles. Every disappointment formed a sentence. Every unexpected blessing formed another. Each unanswered prayer added some other page. Together they created a message you have got simplest currently started gaining knowledge of to study. The message says this. Do now not confuse delay with denial. Do not confuse silence with absence. Do no longer confuse difficulty with defeat. The street may additionally appear longer than anticipated, however longer roads frequently result in more potent travelers. Look around carefully. Have you observed how special your thinking has ended up? Conversations that once controlled your feelings not deliver the equal electricity. Reviews that when apprehensive you presently appear strangely small. Desires you once considered impossible no longer feel completely unreachable. This alteration did no longer show up in a single day. It befell quietly. One decision at a time. One lesson at a time. One act of courage at a time. Transformation not often publicizes itself. It actually becomes seen one day. And then humans call it surprising. Yet you know how many unseen nights created that sudden second. Something else is drawing close. No longer all people will apprehend the alternatives you're approximately to make. A few will say you have changed. They may be accurate. Increase continually changes perspective. Those dedicated to final still often criticize those inclined to move forward. Do now not permit worry of misunderstanding imprison your destiny. Walk with humility. Stroll with information. But preserve on foot. There may be no victory for folks that permanently continue to be at the starting line. Now the surroundings shifts again. Believe hearing a gentle knock at your door overdue inside the evening. Now not loud enough to create panic. Now not gentle sufficient to disregard. Just sufficient to rouse curiosity. You hesitate. Your hand reaches in the direction of the take care of. Something inner tells you this second topic's more than it appears. You pause. You recollect every caution. Every sadness. Each hope. Every unanswered query. Then another cognizance starts off evolved forming internal your coronary heart. The best transport become never the item out of doors the door. The greatest delivery has been the individual you are getting while watching for it. That attention changes the whole thing. Due to the fact after you remember the fact that reality, ready no longer feels empty. It turns into meaningful. Each sunrise will become another possibility. Every challenge turns into some other lesson. Every setback turns into another invitation to develop more potent. And just when you trust the thriller has subsequently found out itself. A small element seems that nobody noticed earlier than. Something has already been positioned at the intrank. It turned into now not there the day prior to this. No footsteps had been heard. No vehicle changed into visible. No statement become made. Simplest a single sealed envelope rests quietly before the door. There's no return address. Handiest your call, written with outstanding clarity. And what waits internal that envelope has the power to trade the which means of the whole thing that has passed off so far. However, that moment belongs to the next part of this tale. A calm silence settles over the room after the knock. Yet your heartbeat grows louder with every passing second. The folded page remains for your arms, most effective partly opened. You look from the letter to the door, unsure which thriller should be faced first. Existence frequently offers moments exactly like this. Two paths. Choices. One coronary heart. Many human beings spend their lives believing that destiny is formed best by means of grand decisions. But greater often, it's miles the quiet picks, those made while no one is looking, that lightly redirect a whole destiny. You're taking one gradual breath. The knock comes once more. Nevertheless calm. Nonetheless patient. As though whoever waits outside already knows you may answer while the time is proper. There is no stress. Only invitation. Earlier than you reach the door, your eyes go back to the web page on your hand. The first sentence finally becomes clean. Do now not mistake regular moments for regular motive. The phrases settle deep within you. What number of miracles have been neglected due to the fact they arrived carrying everyday garments? What number of opportunities passed omitted because they did no longer appear as dramatic as predicted? The finest modifications not often announce themselves with noise. They often arrive quietly, asking simplest for an inclined coronary heart. You slowly open the door. No person is standing there. The path is empty. The wind moves lightly throughout the floor. For a quick second, confusion replaces curiosity. Then your interest shifts downward. At your doorstep rests a small, superbly crafted wood box. Simple. Elegant. No luck. No markings. No rationalization. Most effective, another small observe resting on pinnacle. It reads: the best present can't be carried via arms that refuse to let cross of the day before today. The one's phrases strike deeper than you anticipated. You think about each remorse you've got carried. Every harsh phrase that echoed to your reminiscence. Every failure you replayed lengthy after everybody else had forgotten it. Without understanding it, you have been sporting invisible weight. Weight that nobody else may want to see. Weight that quietly stole your peace. The container stays unopened. Once more, you're reminded that this story has by no means clearly been about receiving something. It has constantly been about becoming a person. A person who no longer lets in fear to make each choice. Someone who chooses wish even after unhappiness. Someone who can't